Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, September 23rd. Hey, things are starting to cool off. We're getting a little shorter days, cooler nights. The fish are starting to move, and we're going to check in with our guys, Josh, Tom, Lee, and Gentry, and find out what's happening on their bodies of water right there when we get back. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, September 23rd. Hey, we're joined by Lee Pitt's going to talk a little Weiss Lake and Neely Henry. Let's start at Neely Henry this week. What are you hearing out of Neely Henry?
Neely is kind of holding, about the same as it was the last week or two, but it seems to be more the spot. If you go up that river, you're really counting on the spots. The spinner bait has been good, still getting some topwater action in the morning and starting to chase a buzz bait a little bit. I know a lot of the guys, they're kind of downsizing and going to something and on that buzz bait, you got to look at it. Something that's got a pretty good squeak to it and leaves a bubble trail. Most time you're on the right track when you got him when it's talking back to you.
Any bit of a flip bite or a finesse bite? Anything else going on at Neely?
It's still, with Neely, you can't count the grass out in the dead of winter. I mean, it's just one of those deals where these fish can roll right up out of the river and they can ease up in there, and they got a lot of cover and they got a lot of place to ambush prey. So right now they're starting to feed up. The shad are starting to ball up pretty good, getting in the mouths of these bays, even getting in the backs of some of the creeks. So that's another good thing to look for. Like we talked about last week, I like to keep that spook or a pawpaw or something like that on, where if you do see some come up busting, you got something that you can get out there and get it over the top of them.
What about the crappie at Neely? Are you seeing anything out of that?
Crappie are starting to do a little something at Neely. It's the water temperature, you still got that 80, 81, 82, and then it'll pop up about 84 midday. So I think the daylight hours, getting a little shorter is going to help that. And some of this cooler weather that we've had coming in at night, that's really helping some of the early morning bite and that late evening deal.
All right, let's go to Weiss Lake, your home lake there. What's going on up there?
Home Lake been a little tough this week. It's I think we've had some pressure on it. We got a few tournaments coming up there, and we've had a lot of pressure. They fluctuated the water some at Weiss too, and I think that's hurt that shallow bite. But when I say shallow, I'm talking dirt shallow. But they're still on boat docks and around wood cover in that 3-4 foot of water. And once again on it too, starting to get a buzzbait bite a little bit. I know midweek they had a tournament upriver, just a 3-fish tournament, and 10 pounds won it. So still catching some good quality fish. I think with the weather fixing to turn like we want it, a little bit of taste of fall coming in here, I believe the fish know it too, and they'll start feeding up. Seeing a lot of bait fish in the backs of the creeks and getting out there the mouths of it. So that switch is fixing to flip, and it's fixing to be like the house is on fire. It's going to be wide open.
And I know your crappie bite's about to kick off here as it gets cooler too. Lee, thanks for the time. We'll appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week, brother.
All right, guys. Y'all have a good one.
Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, September 23rd. Hey, we're joined on the phone today by Gentry Gordy, our good friend from down there around that Lake Martin and Jordan Lake area. Gentry, what's going on at Jordan Lake this week?
We're finally starting to get the right weather. Year round, you can go up the river. That's just part of Jordan. Have fun, swim baits, and a jig and some of the eddy breaks and stuff like that. But right now, I'm going up there and fishing like topwater spooks and buzz baits on seawalls. Probably not going to get as many bites, but just to me, way more funner. And that's happening all day. Some places better than others. It's all about where the bait is. Or is it mid-pocket, back of the pocket? But once you find it in that certain time of day, you can kind of run that pattern until they move a little bit. Still picking up a jig and flipping some docks as I go by them, but I'm really concentrating on some of them on them seawalls.
So is the bait visible on the surface, or are you seeing it on your graph?
Both. Like I said, it's still doing what it did last week. You'll see the balls, but then you'll see them smaller groups that'll get up shallow, and you'll see them fish chase them up on them seawalls. Not like a shad spawn, but they're running them up there where they can corner them and stuff.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about Lake Martin. What are you seeing out of Lake Martin? I know it's been a little tough lately, but is it improving?
Yes, it is. And even more so the seawalls on Martin, especially right now, because typically they've already started dropping the water or, getting close to it. Looking at the shoreline app, it looks like it's going to carry all the way to, they're predicting middle of October. before they really start bringing the water down. If that's true, I'm going to try to hit absolutely every seawall on Lake Martin and riprap. You know, your steeper, harder banks. That's just the most fun to me. That's what I'm going to do. There's, other ways to do it, following the bait and all that. But I'm fishing for sure seawalls at Martin right now.
As that water starts to fall, is that something you may want to look at pulling out into the mouths, maybe a little forward-facing sonar where the fish might suspend a little there?
Yeah, because as they start pulling that water in that temperature, of course, by then the temperature will be dropping by all means. But in when they start doing that, Martin's known for its steep banks, and you'll get to the point where you'll find that shelf on a lot of them steeper banks, and that's where them fish will hang. They'll get just off that first shelf, and it's real fun because when they come up on the top water plug from that deeper water, it's violent.
I've seen it before. Gentry, as always, brother, we appreciate it. Thanks for the time. We'll talk to you again next week.
Yes, sir. Y'all take care.
Well, good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, September 23rd. Hey, we're joined by our good friend Josh Heron from Tato Designs and Reaction Innovations. Josh, we're going to talk a little Logan Martin and Lay Lake. You had that bass cat out on the water at all?
Yeah, man. We've been going. It's getting a little better week by week. We're starting to reclaim our lakes, starting to quiet down a little bit, so that's always good. If fishing's coming around, you tell they're kind of that they want to get into their little fall deals. Water temps are cooling off a little bit, so we got a lot of bait moving right now. It's moving shallow, particularly. So that's always good. As far as you can get up there, and when those water temps kind of get into the mid 70s, that spinnerbait bite really fires off at Logan Martin. Starting to see a little buzz baits play here and there early, and then after that, man, it's kind of you can pick some off here and there. Flipping docks, the shaky head thing still works pretty good, and for all these big pods of bait that are wadded up in the mouths of these creeks, you can kind of do the Damiki thing or the forward facing sonar deal. You got a lot of options, and you got a lot of fish spread out over a pretty good range right now. You can still catch them in 20 feet, or you can catch them in 18 inches. There's just not a lot anywhere.
Yeah, it sounds like it's kind of move and find things and going to have to junk fish just a little bit. If someone was going out there to forward face fish, with the sonar, is it something that they just find current breaks or points, or what would you do?
Yeah, I mean, that works great when they got the water rolling. That always positions these fish a lot better. The problem is we don't have a whole lot of rain right now. We don't have a lot of rain in the forecast, so you really got to pay attention to that. Or Alabama Power has a shoreline app. It gives you a constant reading on turbines and all. It's a really good tool to have. And man, it's just kind of look. I mean, a lot of these pods of bait I'm talking about, you don't need forward-facing sonar to fish them. You can actually see them on the surface. So, good pair of sunglasses and a little fisherman's intuition goes a long way right now.
Little maverick head and a little tiny fluke looks good on those things. Talk about Lay Lake in the last 30 seconds. What do we got going on there?
Same junk. The only difference is you got a lot of pole timber on Lay that plays. Grass fishing's probably going to be a little stronger at Lay. We're kind of getting into that range where a lot of this grass is fixed to start tailing out and turning into slop and slime. So that's where you can actually play with a little bit of a frogging deal. So, yeah, man, weather's getting nice. Go fishing, stay in a tree stand, whatever your heart desires.
Appreciate it, Josh. We'll talk to you again soon, brother. Good morning, everyone. This is Dan O'Sullivan with your Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, September 23rd. Hey, we're joined by Tom Ott. Going to talk a little bit of Lake Guntersville fishing. Tom, is it progressing along nicely?
Oh, yeah. It's, that fall transition is definitely in full swing. The fish are really chewing right now. I mean, I think it depends on what you're after. If you want to go catch a lot of fish, tie on an A-rig, a small crankbait, swim baits were the deal this past week, and just follow that bait around, you're going to run across a lot of fish. I mean, you're going to catch a majority of them are going to probably be non-keeper size, but you're going to catch a lot of fish. I mean, you can really have a lot of fun. You want to catch some bigger fish. I think the frog bite is really starting to pick up. The punching bite's definitely still there. You're just not going to catch as many fish, obviously. And in those areas, I think really the cuts on the river channel, the smaller patches of grass make it a little bit easier to bounce in there. make a few casts, bounce out, move along. But I think those are the areas that a lot of fish are hanging on right now. And don't forget your Miracle Mile. Those kind of places obviously always attract tons of fish. If that's what you're into, if you're into the punch and the frog bite, you're going to catch fish, just not as many. Tile on an A-rig, you're going to go catch, 50 plus probably.
The A-rig and some of those types of things, are you starting to move into some of those causeways and some of those bridges, or are the fish still out?
Absolutely. I mean, we were back in kind of targeted a creek last week and just stayed in a large creek the whole time and actually stayed in the very back of it. So those fish, there's a lot of fish that have moved back there. We were able to catch a couple of larger fish, but there was a lot of activity right there at the causeways, not only with crappie fishermen, there was also a lot of bait moving through there, and you could see some bass starting to really, make that move a little bit anyway. I don't know if it would be a place I'd sit and hunt for a while, but it's coming. It's definitely coming. And the larger fish are extremely healthy. I mean, everything's just very healthy right now.
Yeah, I saw my buddy Art Newberian from Spear Point Hooks and his girlfriend Moa. They had a good day celebrating their anniversary together. Caught some good ones up there. And the crappie fishermen, you're starting to see them around the causeways. They're starting to move in too. So it sounds like Guntersville's progressing nicely. And it's only going to get better as it starts to cool off. Tom, thanks, brother. We appreciate everything, and we will talk to you again next week.
I appreciate it, guys. Tight lines. And remember, if you see a boater in trouble out there, karma's good for you, so go help them out. Talk to you next week.
Well, that'll do it for our Bucks Island Area Fishing Report for Saturday, September 23rd. Thanks to the guys for everything that they say. Hey, come on by Bucks Island. See us. We got the boats, the parts, the tackle, and the service that you need. We appreciate everything that you do every time you stop by. You are the best part of Bucks Island, and we love seeing you. Talk to you again next week, and thanks for tuning in.